Welcome everyone to another edition of the Classic Comic Archive, a series where I recap and review many of Marvel Comics' most seminal early issues. Our story for today is Journey into Mystery Annual 1 from June of 1965. This issue marks the first appearance of Thor's longtime rival Hercules, as well as his father Zeus, king of the Greek pantheon. The issue was written by Stan Lee, drawn by Jack Kirby, inked by Vince Colletta, and lettered by Sam Rosen. But before I begin, I would like to offer an apology for the poor quality of these page scans. Ultimately, I produced this series on a shoestring budget, and these were the best images I could find with that constraint. But anyways, our issue opens up with a striking splash page, showing Thor, the thunder god, in the throes of an epic battle against Hercules, the god of strength. Yet before we can witness such an epic confrontation, we must first travel to the forbidden land of Jotunheim. It's here, in the domain of the wicked storm giants, that we find our hero Thor, accompanied by his half-brother Loki, who rebukes the thunder god for bringing him to such a perilous realm. Yet Thor brushes off the concern, for the dominion of Asgard knows no bounds, including the land of the storm giants. It's two of these beasts that Thor is searching for, and soon finds. They have found the secret passage to Olympus, domain of the Greek gods of old. Thor recounts the legendary tale of the storm giants, who were banished from Olympus centuries ago, an exile that the brutes have sought vengeance for ever since. Thus Thor has arrived just in time, as the storm giants have finally found the passage, and it's his duty to prevent them from ever traveling through. Fulfilling this duty, the mighty Thor leaps off his cliffside perch and bravely engages the storm giants in an epic battle. One beast reaches for a titanic spear to lunge at the thunder god, yet its shaft is no match for the power of Thor's invincible hammer, which splits it in two under the might of a single blow. Yet Thor's attack has only provided the storm giant with a second weapon, which it powerfully slams to the ground, just narrowly missing the thunder god's head. Thor thus calls for the aid of his half-brother, whose mastery of magic would make him a mighty ally, yet the trickster god is not one to be trusted, and has already fled the scene. So Thor battles on alone, and strikes the ground with a quake-inducing blow from his hammer. The ensuing shockwave sends the storm giants flying, and though they recover, the brutes fearfully flee from the might of Thor. Yet the blow was more powerful than Thor had expected, as the ground beneath him suddenly begins to crumble away, sending the thunder god tumbling down a seemingly endless void for a seeming eternity. Eventually Thor's fall hastens, and he finds himself within a shadowy chamber, one the well-traveled prince has never encountered before. Following a twisting, winding corridor, Thor finds reprieve in a bright light at its end, which leads him outside to a heavenly plane, one Thor recognizes as Olympus, a domain that even the Asgardians consider legendary. Exploring the land, Thor stealthily approaches a gathering of fellow immortals, relishing in the utopia they call home. Yet one such immortal prowls the outskirts of Olympus, patiently waiting for someone such as Thor to intrude. He is Hercules, the god of strength, and he has spotted Thor, just as the thunder god has spotted him. Separating the two is a river, crossable only by a small crude bridge. Thor begins to cross the bridge to seek the help of Hercules, for as enthralled as he is by Olympus, his heart lies in Asgard, and there he must return at once. Yet Hercules orders Thor to halt, as he seeks to cross the bridge first, and there is only room for one to do so. But as I mentioned earlier, Thor's dominion is over all, and he takes orders from no one. Thus he rushes across the bridge to seize from Hercules an opportunity to do so first. Yet the prideful Olympian won't stand for such a discretion, as he uproots the ancient bridge before Thor can cross, and then casts it aside, along with the Asgardian prince. Emerging from the river from which he was cast, a vengeful Thor warns Hercules of his own godly strength. Yet the warning falls on deaf ears, as Hercules has now committed his attention to rebuilding the bridge out of some nearby boulders. The god of strength then hurls one of these boulders in place, the exact spot where Thor is standing. But Hercules has the courtesy to warn Thor of the coming impact, who lunges away from the boulder in time. While Hercules now pays little more attention to Thor. The thunder god has not forgiven the Olympians' misdeed against him, and emerges from the river to prove that his Asgardian strength is peerless. With a mighty blow from his hammer, Thor shatters a boulder which Hercules was preparing to place. This discretion is the final straw for the god of strength, who before thought Thor to be an arrogant fool, but now sees as a madman, whose threat must be extinguished. Thus he produces a golden mace, whose might he claims to be the superior of Thor's hammer. The thunder god sets out to test this theory, as he powerfully hurls his hammer at Hercules. The weapon surprisingly misses the god of strength, yet only to catch upon its thong his hand, which sends the warrior of Olympus flying. But Hercules' godly strength is not simply a matter of power, but also of peerless balance, allowing the Olympian to land lightly on his feet. Yet it also seems that Thor's legend has not reached Olympus, as Hercules doesn't expect Thor's hammer to return to its thunderous wielder as if it were alive. The sudden jolt from around his wrist topples over the mighty warrior and returns to Thor his greatest weapon. But Hercules casts aside his own and challenges his foe to a battle of bare fists, one that the honorable Asgardian accepts. Thus the battle of the immortals continues, as Hercules is the first to land a mighty blow that knocks the thunder god to the ground. Yet the Olympian is shocked to see Thor recover in only moments, a feat unheard of against his might. With his opponent practically stunned still, Thor strikes back, producing a blow that knocks Hercules off his feet for the first time in the warrior's legendary life. Yet now it is Thor who is humbled by the speed at which Hercules recovers and quickly lunges to continue their epic battle. Now grappling like wrestlers, the two mighty immortals commend each other for a worthy fight, yet neither would dare yield, for their honor compels them to battle on. Thus it is next Hercules who seems to gain the upper hand, as he hoists Thor upon his arm and spins him around as though he were a lasso. Yet Thor is not defenseless, as he twists Hercules' arm as though he were a wrench tightening a nut. The sudden motion takes the Olympian back to the ground, from which Thor hoists him up to deliver a thunderous uppercut. The Asgardian then demands that Hercules yield. But the god of strength vows to never forgo his honor and escapes his foe to uproot an ancient column nearby. Bending the column as if it were wet clay, Hercules concedes that Thor is a valiant opponent, one of such honor that a death at his hands would be wasted. Thus Hercules lunges at Thor, but only to wrap his column around the hero and make him his captive. And so he does, with Thor seemingly trapped within the column, which is actually an enchanted artifact known as the Pole of Heroes. Thus the prideful Hercules begins to gloat, relishing in his seeming triumph over Thor. Yet this gloat riles within the thunder god, a fury yet unseen, a rage that permeates his very body and infuses within his muscles an ungodly strength. Suddenly is the Pole of Heroes shattered to pieces, as Thor furiously lunges at Hercules to end their epic battle once and for all. Yet in his anger, Thor's defense becomes sloppy. Hercules takes this opportunity to strike at Thor repeatedly, all in the same spot, with each blow stronger than the last. Thus the thunder god is knocked down once more, but Hercules hesitates to strike again, as he can't tell if he's truly defeated Thor, or if the Asgardian has simply lost his footing on the dew-covered grass from which they fight. Yet Hercules soon learns the truth, as the very ground on which he's standing is ripped out from under him. Thus Thor is not defeated. In fact, he is eager to continue his battle with Hercules, as he attempts to pounce on his toppled foe. But the Olympian is ready for the attack, as he slams together two stones just as Thor arrives. The stones do no harm, but crumble into a powder that blinds our Asgardian hero. The thunder god thus swings as widely as he can, hoping to land a blow on Hercules until his eyes can clear of the powder. Yet no such blow lands, as the god of strength capitalizes on his foe's poor form and strikes him clean in the chest. But Thor amazingly remains standing and delivers a counter-blow that sends Hercules reeling. Yet before either immortal can strike again, the two gods suddenly find themselves helplessly suspended in air. Their captor is none other than Zeus, ruler of Olympus and father of Hercules. The god of lightning orders Hercules and Thor to cease their fighting and lowers them to the ground, where both immortals bow down before Zeus's excellency. It seems that Zeus had been observing the epic battle for some time, from which he had concluded that both Hercules and Thor are honorable warriors and equally deserving of victory. Thus he commands the two to rise up and shake each other's hand as a sign of mutual respect. Hercules and Thor oblige and declare that a new friendship has blossomed from their mighty battle. Thus Thor requests to be sent back to his own kingdom, a task so effortless for the mighty Zeus, who magically transports the thunder god back to Jotunheim. There Thor encounters his half-brother Loki, who claims that he had only fled to search for help. Yet no help was found, and perhaps now the two Asgardians needed most, as a flurry of titanic boulders suddenly burst from underneath them. Loki assumes that the storm giants have returned for vengeance, yet Thor knows that not even the mightiest of those brutes could perform such a feat. Within moments the spurt of boulders cease, revealing a massive mountain in their stead. Loki is bewildered at such an awesome display of power, yet Thor knows it's the work of Zeus, forever sealing the secret passage to Olympus. The Thunder God keeps this knowledge and all that he knows of the realm to himself, as Loki certainly would use such information for his own evil deeds. The issue subsequently ends as we see Thor and Loki on horseback, off to their next adventure, yet not before the Thunder God silently vows to learn more of Olympus and one day meet the mighty Hercules again. That concludes Journey into Mystery Annual 1. Except it doesn't. As some of you may have noticed, the cover of this issue advertises 4 additional stories. I won't be covering those in this video because they're all reprints. The Hercules story you just watched was the only new material originally presented in the issue. The rest are stories that have already been published, that being Journey into Mystery 85, 93, 95, and 97. As of the recording of this video, the only of those I've already covered is issue 85, but I one day expect to have made separate videos for each. And with that out of the way, we've concluded another episode of the Classic Comic Archive. But as always, I would like to offer a brief review of this issue. Overall, I thought that this was a great action-centered story. Admittedly, I've criticized previous issues for lacking a balance between action and drama, but this story feels like an exception. Perhaps it's the issue's cover, which shows nothing more than Thor and Hercules in battle. Or perhaps it's how the issue opens up in Jotunheim with the storm giants. But whatever the reason may be, it became clear to me almost immediately that this issue was simply going to be a Thor adventure, free of Dr. Blake, Jane Foster, or anything else that ties our hero to normal society. Thus, by so quickly removing any expectation of character development or dramatic tension, it becomes much easier to appreciate the issue for what it is. An all-out knockdown, drag-out fight with a great opponent in Hercules, who I'm excited to know makes many more appearances in this series and others. In any case, let me know what you thought of this issue and the video, and feel free to suggest other classic comics for me to cover. Thanks for watching.